Rebecca Ann Sedgwick, a 12-year-old commits suicide due to cyberbullying and harassment. This is a photograph and a headline taken from CBS News in 2013. Seems like every time I watch or read the newspaper, there is a headline like this. Young adults and children all over the world have had to face this new issue of cyberbullying on their own. Many have turned to harming themselves, others are committing suicide to stop the bullying from happening. Many members of the populace, including myself, are wondering how to prevent these tragedies from happening. Would jail time or harsher punishments for the bullies stop this issue? As someone who has witnessed cyberbullying and its effects on victims, I can personally say that punishments are not harsh enough. Cyberbullying has become a major issue in today's society. It is not uncommon for any of us to hear about a family member, loved one, or friend who has faced this issue on their own. I chose this topic because it's very close to my heart. My younger sister and myself have both been cyberbullied, and I have seen the effects that it can have on its victim. I also chose this topic because I have studied a lot of psychology in school and have learned about how psychological torture can be just as difficult as physical torture. The sources I have included in my speech are the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, many doctor testimonies, and studies that have been done by Yale University. I'd like to discuss with you today about what cyberbullying is, the different types of cyberbullying, why I feel it's worse than physical bullying, and why prevention, harsher punishments, and holding a bully accountable could help prevent and save the lives of innocent victims. Let's begin with defining what cyberbullying is. The U.S. Department of Health and Human Services has defined cyberbullying as any bullying that takes place by using electronic technology. The different types of cyberbullying would include cell phone and text messages. Think about how often we use those these days. This would be harassing phone calls, voicemail messages, text messaging that can happen at any time of the day, and any videos or pictures sent with vulgar and harassing contents or threats. The second type of cyberbullying is by being bullied through the internet. The use of social media sites, more popular than most Facebook, Twitter, or other sites to harass, post pictures, torment, and torture individuals. There's also email or instant messaging. This can be done on a constant basis to harass, stalk, or threaten people. In his book titled Teen Cyberbullying Investigated, Where Your Rights End and Consequences Begin, written by Judge Tom Jacobs, he reports that 85% of middle school children report that they have been cyberbullied at least once. And 33% of American teens who use the internet have reported experiencing some form of online harassment. We have talked about what cyberbullying is. Now let's consider why cyberbullying is a bigger issue than physical bullying. Cyberbullying is just as bad, if not worse, than physical bullying. It's been proven that emotional trauma and psychological pain and torture can lead to many physical signs, such as depression and feeling helpless. Signs of emotional trauma and physical pain and torture include name-calling, teasing, and harassment. Dr. Jennifer N. Cuttle, a board-certified family physician and director of family medicine at Sahani Hospital in Baltimore, state, kids are more likely to experience anxiety, depression, loneliness, and suffer from a lack of good sleep. Also, feelings of unhappiness if they have been cyberbullied. Thoughts or attempts at suicide are also a consequence of cyberbullying. Depression and anxiety lead to thoughts of helplessness and thoughts of self-harm. If you don't feel like anybody loves you, why would you want to stay around? Studies done at Yale University have found that bullying victims are between 2 to 9 times more likely to consider suicide than non-victims. That's over half. A study done in Britain also found that at least 1/2 of suicides among young adults are related to some form of bullying. There are more psychological issues concerning cyberbullying than there are with physical bullying, because cyberbullying can occur at any time. You can't get away from it. It's like a 24-hour news cycle. The rise of social media and the internet has made it so that bullying can no longer be confined to just school property or hours. As stated before, it can happen anywhere, anytime, at home, at the grocery store, weekends, and at night. We have talked about the effects of cyberbullying. Now let's discuss what can be done to make the consequences for the bully harsher, and how we can save innocent lives. By preventing and having tougher punishments for the bully, we could help save lives. Educating parents and peers and members of society on cyberbullying and what to look out for, I feel, is very important to this issue. Recognizing the signs of cyberbullying, such as social withdrawal, fear of technology, and bad or unusual behavior, are all going to be warning signs. We need to become more aware of our surroundings, and we need to not be afraid to speak up for what is right. How many times have you witnessed somebody being called a name and not said anything? By showing the victims that they have support, it'll make them not afraid to stand up for themselves either. This brings me to my next point. Harsher punishments for the bully. A slap on the wrist just isn't doing enough. I feel criminalization, depending on the level of offense and harm done to the victim, is a bigger step than telling somebody to please knock it off. Charging a bully with a hate crime to automatically make this a felony charge would also be another solution. Think about it. You're discriminating against somebody, making fun of them, whether it be for their sexual orientation, their gender, the way they look, their race. Cyberbullying happens for all of these reasons. This would create more of a permanent consequence for anyone who decides to become a cyberbully, and ultimately make bullies think twice before choosing to destroy a life. Right now, there is no consequence, so it's all fun and games. Cyberbullying is an issue that is most likely more widespread and prevalent than we even realize, because so much like cases of rape, cyberbullying goes unreported by many victims, whether it be because they're afraid or embarrassed. Having stricter laws and enforcing harsher punishments would ultimately save lives by showing victims that they do have support. They do have somebody to stand behind them, and there is somebody in their corner. It also sends the message that emotional abuse is just as serious as physical abuse. Even though there's nothing to show for it, it's all hidden on the inside. Telling someone to go kill themselves repeatedly is just as bad as beating them to the pulp. The bully might as well have put the gun in their hands. Having serious consequences for such a despicable crime would provide victims and bullies with the education and counseling that they need to further better their lives. If you don't know you're doing something wrong and have nobody to show you the right way, nothing's going to be solved. I think with these actions in place that the issue of cyberbullying would become less prevalent and help save more innocent lives, and allow our children to know that they do have support and that they can come forward. Thank you.